Uh, okay, we are back for yet another exciting, thrilling installment of innovations and such that we are doing with miniature war games. And yes, I know the sign says right there, 172 Wargaming. That's because that's our generic banner, if you will. Because essentially what we do is all 172 scale stuff, except when it comes to um, anything to do with our version of BattleTech Cav, which is called Hex Command Nova. And that scale is, we tried conceivably to do a 20 millimeter size or scale of infantry vehicles and mechs and so on. At the time, the production timeline was very long, and we did try it, and we were successful in 20 millimeter. But getting up to 172 scale, which is 22 millimeter, uh, began to create some logistical issues. And even though the 2.5x works fine, and everything else is on 2.5x, going down to the 10 millimeter scale, which is 1/100th or thereabouts, as opposed to the game release by the various companies that have put out BattleTech and Cav, which is 10 millimeter or even smaller, I should say, 1/285th scale, which is the nomenclature, the public lexicon is essentially GHQ or micro armor scale or 1/285th. That's too small for us because it means the infantry and all the other ground vehicles are just way too small. So 10 millimeter appears to be the good go-to scale, and if not, up to 12 millimeter and so on. Why? Because the mechs are bigger and they're still 3D printed or resin printed if you want. And the vehicles are larger than the real 10 millimeter scale, even though, well, 10 millimeter and larger is what we're doing. But it also means that 15 millimeter infantry and 15 millimeter vehicles can be used. Because in fact, a 15 millimeter scale infantryman with a 10 millimeter ish scale mech looks pretty darn close. Because remember, in our vision of how this future is, we don't have these behemoth mechs. We're James Cameron type engineer people. We believe that even in the future, I don't care how many hundreds of years from now, the technology will likely not exist for something to be that big that is shown in these accepted uh, rule systems and game designs of BattleTech and Cav the way you see it now. They're just too big, and basic physics interfere with the fantasy of those systems. And by physics, we mean foot-pounds per square inch on the ground when something walks. If something is putting pressure on a small area of ground that is that heavy, you'd better have a moonscape, and it better be almost rock, because that mech is going to sink into the substrate. And it's more than likely going to be the case, I don't care what the argument is for it, that these machines could not possibly move as fast as they are being recorded to be able to move, um, and not create massive divots in the ground. So there we are. Enough said about that. So this is our life, this is our scale, and this is our series of innovations leading up again, as these videos have been mentioning, to Adepticon 2024 in Schaumburg, Illinois. It's going to be in the HMGS area, a historic miniature gaming area. I do not know exactly what hotel of the complex it is going to be, but our quad game is what we're going to be running. Imagine Image Multimedia is going to be running this quad game. And in this quad game, which is a big 8x5 table divided into four, we are running a portion of that quadrant. One of the quadrants is going to be Hex Command Nova, which is our, as I said, version of the BattleTech Cav universe. And we hope runs a lot faster, because well, we just want to get the game on. And having too much of a system infrastructure behind the game drags it down to the point where it's impossible, right? And everybody knows this. It's the quiet part being spoken out loud, especially by me, us, being my brother who's in Air Force, and all of our other agreeables that are people that are in agreement with our position statement on this. Okay, they're full transparency. There it is. What I wanted to do in this little segment was to show you some interesting things. Right now, you can't hear or see it, but well, you could, but I'm not going to put it on here. We're 3D printing a disc holder, and a disc holder looks like this. Okay, this is a disc holder. That's a status marker. Obviously, it's out of focus. I'll see if I can get the camera to. Okay, it's not going to be. Anyway, it's a disc holder, and that little disc is a paper disc, right, that I've stuck in there, and maybe now I can't get it out. We might have an issue. It might be printed too small. Damn it. Okay, now I got it out. Okay, so you see the little disc goes in there, and why? Because you don't want to lay it down on the table flat like that. Well, maybe you don't want to do that. You could. I mean, it's designed to do that. It's a disc. It's a marker for the game table. It's actually technically supposed to be underneath the base of a mech. But I thought, hey, what if you wanted to do it vertically? What if you wanted to stand it up? So I created this little thing in 3D printing. It's a little, like a poker chip holder, but stands up. And so the idea is you put your little disc in. These are not perfectly, they are exactly the way they should be, but the plastic 3D printed object is being a little stubborn. It needs to be a little worn. It's so perfectly accurate that it's a little hard to get in and out. All right, so there's the idea. You can see it says torso jam or move hindered on the other side, but that's the idea. So why is this even necessary? It's just a feature, right? It's just another way of showing a marker on the game table, and facing the player is, see if I can maybe get my light to show it a little better than that. Okay, a little better. So facing the player is the indicator, and the opposite side is not. So, oh, I'm sorry, it's upside down. This guy says torso jam, and that's the marker. All right. So, turning around. All right. So, hi. So, markers. On the game table, the idea would be this little guy would be standing up like that. Where is it? I just put it down there. This little guy to be standing up like that. What's the potential use? What's the use case? I have no idea. I just thought, let's work on it. Maybe there's a use for it to get these markers to be stand upable, and so on and so forth. So, what you're also seeing here are these placards. These, again, 3D printed stands that will hold various things for the game. Like, for instance, in this idea, we are creating new roster cards. Now, remember, roster cards aren't always needed in our version now. Our optimized version just has round O-rings as markers for damage. Okay? But say you don't want to do that. Say you want to play the game where the damage is hidden and unknown to the enemy, which, of course, will make the game last longer. But in this case, this becomes a little roster card. Okay? So there's the little roster card. I got to make sure I hold it right. Okay. GoPro. There's a little roster card. Whoops. Wait, what's this, Terry? Okay, that is a little piece of paper, a cardstock actually, that is a radar blip. Okay? So that little radar blip can go onto the card, right? And then into the plastic holder, which sits on the game table. So now it brings up a whole bunch of interesting ideas. This little placard thing now becomes something on the game table with actual visual meaning. And this is a radar blip saying, hey, there's an object, and you don't know what it is because you don't show it yet. You only show it when it becomes revealed as to what it is. Now, mind you, on a small game table, it's going to be revealed pretty soon. But that's the idea. So you have this little radar blip. Now, on the back, oh, it's blank. It's blank, Terry. Right, because you can put something else there. Who knows? Could be it. But now it could be another kind of a marker, right? So that at least anyway, you've got these nice little radar blip things. Okay, it looks like a radar blip or something of that nature. Okay, so and then there's the card itself, which is just our normal roster card, which was a 4x6 index card. Now it's been turned into this little nice little booklet. And of course, you can keep track of all the damage and such. And there's rule reminders and stuff on the inside. And on the front, I know it looks like it's the back, but this is the front where we have an image of the mech. Okay, so this whole little thing can go, even with the little blip in front of it, right? Can go into this little holder, which the more you put in there, the better. And it becomes a pretty nice little table marker. Now, interestingly enough, it becomes a pocket. And in that pocket, you can put game cards, right? There you go. So we're working on some pretty cool ideas. Again, a lot of it is transitional, leading to some greater things. But as with anything, you have to start somewhere. And thankfully, with the 3D printer technology, we're able to do this kind of stuff. Ergo, we are so very, very happy that people have dedicated themselves to making these machines that can do 3D printing for us. Because this is what is driving innovation for the miniature war game hobby. And I should caveat that by saying it's really challenging to keep it a hobby, by the way, because this is kind of all-consuming. I mean, you got to have so much time to do this stuff, or you got to schedule time, and you got to manage time. It's all about time. And in regard to the size of the game table, space. So time and space. Here we go again, right? Same old, same old. Anyway, there we are. We'll come back. We'll get some more details, maybe throw some pictures in here, stuff that makes a little more sense. And we'll talk about some of the challenges and things that we had to overcome in, well, doing a lot of this stuff. So there we are. And I have to do this kind of thing. I have to reach over here to my little monitor and click stop recording.